And, oh, no, it's not showing on the screen. Awesome.
It is saying live. Do you want to introduce us, Al, or shall I kick off?
So it's not showing yet.
Maybe it's got a...
Showing.
We're live. We're good.
Fantastic. I will kick off. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this, what's now called the Happy Hour Etiquette session at the Scottish Summit, where we're going to be talking about all things about etiquette in Microsoft 365. Quick thank you to our sponsors. These events don't happen without our sponsors, so please do go to some of the events, go and look them up, mention that you're inspired by the Scottish Summit to speak to them, and say thank you to them as well. But let's get into this session. This is the Happy Hour Etiquette. This is about not just learning how to use those Microsoft 365 services that you know about, whether it's Teams, SharePoint, Outlook, all those different services you've got, but learning how to use them the right way to mean that all of you can work better together. So we have 3 questions. We have 5 panelists. We will have 2 finalists and just 1 winner come through. So plenty to learn. Please do use the chat either side. We'll keep an eye on that. So throw in with your own points. If you've got some good ideas, please put them there. Now, some of you may see this session and be thinking, whoa, 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 whoa. I thought this was grey hat beard. You will see the grey and the hat and the beard here, but we've actually branched out. So we're now turning this into a regular session on the guide of etiquette. We have at meetup.com. You can see the link there, and maybe if one of my co-presenters got that meeting handy that you could throw that into the chat. But we're going to be running as a regular monthly event, virtual, talking about all sorts of different areas of etiquette within Microsoft 365. So please come and join us. There's plenty of opportunity to chat in those. And the next one, we're going to be covering some of the topics around Microsoft Fever, and I'm sure some of the stuff that comes out of Ignite will come on. But let's get into this session and introduce the panelists. So we're going to go jumping too quickly, not into the first question yet. Come on, slides. The little bucket is opening that. It's always good. As you can probably tell, we are not recorded. This is live. It is Saturday morning. We've had our coffee. We're all here live on this session. So we're going to go through one by one and introduce ourselves in nice alphabetical order. So Al, do you want to say hello first?
Yep. So my name's Al Eardley. I'm head of modern workplace at CPS and an office MVP.
Gary.
Yep. Hi, everyone. My name is Gary Trinder. I'm an Office Development MVP, member of the Microsoft 365 Patterns and Practices team, and also a Solutions Architect at CPS.
Carolina, with your amazing jumper, which you do have to show everyone there.
Yes, of course. Hello, I'm Karolina Kettakori from Finland. I'm an Office MVP, and I'm working as a modern work lead at Meltlake.
And next up is me. My name's Kevin Macdonald. I'm a solutions architect to CPS. Want to be MVP, keep working towards it, but the one discrepancy on this panel. Louise.
Yeah, hi there.
With another great jumper as well.
Yes, with another great jumper. So I'm the Chief Business Troublemaker at pimpyourndevice.com, MVP for Office Apps and Services, and Microsoft 365 consultant by day.
And lastly, Moraine, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Marijn Somers and I'm an alcoholic. I mean, I'm a Microsoft MVP, and I mostly do my stuff as a freelance and with our podcast, the Office 365 Distilled.
So thank you very much all. We'll be getting into the questions in a sec. For all of you listening, I will just start to describe what's going to happen. We've got 3 questions. Each of our panelists will go through answering those questions, and they have 90 seconds to up to 90 seconds to give an answer to those. And then at the end of each round of questions, we'll have a bit of a group chat, see what we've thought about others. We'll keep an eye on the chat in here. So if you've got your own thoughts, please do put them in there. Now, as we're going through, me as the slightly power-hungry host, I have a little app here, and I'm going to be giving points for people as they go along. So if they make a good point, or if they have a very cool jumper, then they will get a bing. So you'll hear as people are talking, the odd bing, and I'm giving Carolina some bonus points for that Windows jumper on there because I love it. Now, whoa, hold your horses, Louise. We also have, if you've made an amazing point, you get a hallelujah, which I'm going to give for Louise for her amazing troublemaker, because not only is she trouble, but she is a maker on there. Now, if we don't like some of your points, then you will lose it. I think I've decided today mentioning unicorns will cause you to lose a point as well. So we're going to have an anti-unicorn day. I might change my mind halfway through, though. Who knows? And it's very, very easy going. So we're not going to go too far into that. But let's get into the topics itself, not Viva topics, the main topics. And we're going to kick off with question number 1. What is the behavior that people should stop doing in Microsoft 365, and how should they do it instead? And up first, we have Louise. So Louise, you have 90 seconds to talk about that.
Okay, so first things first, please stop transforming your old working behavior into new tools. So if you previously confused email with a task management system, it doesn't get better if you now confuse a Teams chat with a task management system. So please use a decent board for that, just like a planner board or Azure DevOps or something like that. But please do that, not in a chat, because there are no attributes. So the due date is missing, the assigned person is missing, we do not have any contacts, and it's really hard to keep track on all your tasks. And the only thing that gets better, it will become blurple. I'm done.
It will become
Absolutely
what? Blurple?
fantastic.
Blurple.
Blob blob.
Blurple is the official color of Microsoft Teams. So it's not blue and it's not purple, so it's blurple.
Oh, I like that. If you are colorblind, apologies. We are open to all walks of life with that. Possibly anything Teams, that is blurple. Thank you very much, Louise. Gary, you're up next. 90 seconds on what is the behavior that people should stop doing in Microsoft 365 and how should they do it? With you, Gary.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of following on a little bit from what Louise just said. It's the kind of using the right tools. We've got lots of tools in there. They can be used in great ways, but, you know, don't kind of send an email and then expect it to be treated like an instant message. You know, those kind of things. Adapting your work practices at the moment to cater for other people. Be a bit more conscientious as well. Don't send an email and expect to follow up 5 minutes later because other people are, you know, they're busy in Teams. They might not have seen it and they've got their own work to deal with. So yeah, I think it's the one thing that I tend to see is people using the tools as if they were still in the office, as if they've replicated the kind of, I'm just going to go over to my colleague and sit by their desk and ask them a question and completely break them from their work. You know, and using the tools and recreating that, but in a virtual environment. So I think, you know, one way is, I guess, be a bit more conscientious, empathize with your employee, with your colleagues who are working from home, might not have been used to working from home. And yeah, just give people a bit of time, really, because we all need time to adapt.
Absolutely. And I'd add on there that the coffee machine at home always seems to take longer than the coffee machine at work. So give people a little bit more time in between those gaps. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Gary. Next up, we have Carolina. What is the behavior that people should stop doing in Microsoft 365 and how should they do it?
One thing I would say is people should stop being frustrated with technology, because I've talked with so many people and heard so many times that, oh my God, Teams is so annoying because it does this or Teams doesn't do that. And I know there are like some features missing. It's a feature always, or bugs sometimes, maybe, I don't know. But I think mostly people get frustrated with Microsoft 365 in vain, just because they don't know which tool to use. So do you want to use email, Teams, Yammer, SharePoint, whatever? Or when should you use those tools, or how to use them effectively? So I would say people should stop complaining and start learning. I'm done.
Don't worry, be happy.
Exactly.
Thank you for the music.
And today Today is a great day to learn. There's so many sessions, so get out there and learn how to do things the right way. Moraine, you're up next. What behavior should people stop doing?
I also want to say something about people using too many tools and with all the tools in the toolbox, but everyone is talking about it. And there are so many other behaviors that people could also stop doing. So I would definitely want to stand on the hill and I'm prepared to die to stand on this hill about gifs and giffies, which should come to no surprise to any of you. But gifs and giffies, yes, they are fun, but they take up so much real estate. If you really want to do something like that in Teams, for example, just make a separate channel, shits and giggles, something like that, and then you can use that to go all out with all the crazy stickers that you find. But the rest, come on, people, we're all at work, so please keep it a little bit work focused and just use small emojis to say, okay, I approve this message or something like that. That's good enough. But all those stickers, they just, and even definitely the ones that are like GIFs that are playing all the time, that's just freaking annoying.
That's Facebook, not work. Is that what you said?
So something like that.
I may be biased, but stickers belong on laptops, not into the chat.
Slightly biased there.
Just a little bit.
We'll have the sticker debate with Gary at the end chat, because next up we have Al. What is the behavior that people should stop doing in Microsoft 365?
Oh, so for me, that's quite easy. Don't book a meeting that is an hour long by default every single time you want to speak to somebody. Make sure that you're actually booking meetings, and in Outlook you can actually set it so that by default it will give you 5 minutes at the end or at the start of each meeting. Make sure you set that up so that you're booking 25 minutes for a half hour or 50 minutes instead of an hour. Give people the respect they need to actually allow them to go off. And that coffee machine that you've got, Kev, is 10 minutes enough every hour for that coffee machine? You've got to give people the chance to actually, have a little bit of a walk, a little bit of a rest, maybe even check emails and check Teams and check conversations between meetings. So yeah, just that simple little, don't book an hour. If it doesn't take an hour, there's nothing worse than, you're being asked to book time out, reserve it. You book it out, you reserve it, and then somebody takes half an hour and then they go, right, well, that's it, done. Great, thanks. I'll give you half an hour back. That's really generous of you. Could you not have told me that up front and just let me use that half hour for something else without having to reserve it? So yeah, just only use the time that you need.
I think really good points. Really good point on that one, Al. I love that one. And I think also being Microsoft 365, you can do that with the tool and set the defaults in that as well. So you can make it easier to do that by default. Don't always have to remember and do that fiddly in between the 2 half hours that never quite gets in the right place and probably waste that 15 minutes trying to send those. So
if you really want to be controversial, to be really controversial, book your meetings from quarter to the hour to 10 past the hour. That'll mess people up when they're trying to schedule meetings over your time.
I will totally steal that.
I think that deserves a hallelujah. Yes.
I think go on then, I'll sneak a hallelujah in. I would also add into that, don't make it 15 minutes short and then every single time do that extra 15 minutes, because that doesn't help anyone either. That's just cruel.
I love how it now says you still have 5 minutes left, so that's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Teams meetings, that prompts, people should just be looking at that going, right, okay, what actions do we have from the meeting? Let's tie it up. Even if it's we need to schedule more time.
Don't let it be we've got 5 minutes left. Let's do what we should have done in the first, 40 minutes in the last 5 minutes because we've now got a timer. I think that probably happens quite a bit.
True, but at least if you're doing it, then you don't have to have another meeting to then go through the whole thing that you should have done the first time.
Yeah.
But
but we all know those pre-meetings that we do before the meetings, and then the post meetings after those meetings.
You mean the meeting to discuss the meeting?
Right.
Yeah.
To discuss the meeting, meeting. Yeah.
Which probably should have been an email, which should have been on Teams. Yeah.
Or an agenda.
Exactly.
Don't get me started, Gary.
But I think it's interesting about giving ourselves this time to kind of break up the meetings and things. It's like using the tool set, right? You've got mobile devices now. You can still get to your email. Use that time that you get away from your desk. Maybe just check your emails whilst you're making your coffee, that kind of thing. Just
right, yeah.
Have a walk.
Not
in the meeting.
during the meeting, but
Go out for a walk. Have the meeting whilst you're out for a walk.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. I know, Al, you're talking on to do for your mental health and others, but meetings for your mental health, going out where you don't need a screen, going for a walk, is a great idea. Talking of the 5-minute warning, you'll notice that we do have a tendency to chatter, so we do have a timer, which means we're on to question number 2. And question number 2 is, how can you change culture to encourage that good etiquette? So this isn't just about telling people what the good etiquette is, but how can you build that in as part of the culture for people you work with? Moraine, you are up first. So you have 90 seconds to talk about changing culture to give good etiquette. Over to you.
I like the book HTML for Babies. So start them young. But no, definitely use some kind of awareness campaign. So if you're rolling out whatever in a proper adoption, user adoption track, you will probably hang posters in the office. Well, not now because we're not in the office anymore, but you will do, I don't know, some visual thing. And what I always try to do when I do these kind of projects is decorate the whole office with posters around this user etiquette thing. So all the things that you should do or things that you shouldn't do, and that is, to me, how you really get things focused. One of my customers was also sending out on Teams this little stickers and gifs around quick links, around quick tips, how to do something. And I also think that that was a very brilliant thing to do.
So you do like stickers and gifs, but you don't like stickers and gifs, right? You're taking a point
Exactly.
for contradiction there.
Guys,
Yes.
right?
But yes, obviously, if you do want stickers all over the place, we do have the person to go and speak to on that one. But first, we have Al. How can you change culture to encourage good etiquette?
So for me, it's kind of setting expectations. Big fan of setting expectations about, am I busy? Do I put a message in to say, just ask a question? A question that, I'd always ask an organization is, do you have any expectations set for how you use email? Probably not. Most people don't actually set out an expectation for how fast they're going to respond to email. And, you can take that and you can extrapolate it out, and it's, which tool to use, but it's also things. One that gets me quite a lot is, we're using Teams, we're instant messaging, we're typing away. At what point do you go, this is just going to be more effective to talk? So just, you go back 2 or 3 times, just start talking instead. You've got the button, you can just press voice, video, and just to actually talk, rather than actually just having long typed out conversations in a, instant messaging one-to-one. I think that's one that I would certainly say, don't forget that actually there are many tools that you can use, and you don't have to force people down one route. There's lots of different choices, but give them guidelines as to when to use each of those. For me, if I'm spending more than 5 minutes tapping away, talking to somebody, just speak to them. Just press that little telephone or the video and actually speak.
Thank you, Al. We'll chat through those and counter that at the end. That meeting should have been an email, but we'll
send me an email about that afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Because next up we have Gary. How do you change culture to encourage good etiquette?
So I'm always kind of the opinion that if you see people doing good things, people will follow you. So, you know, if you have this knowledge and you understand how a particular technology works, you know, share that knowledge. Don't assume that everyone knows what you know. You know, you may show someone how to do something in Teams that may completely change the way that they work, just because they didn't know. And I think, you know, that kind of learning culture can really help with, you know, helping people use the new technologies as well. Yes, we can have our adoption drives and everything like that, but it does come down to the people, right? You need action. If you're creating a team, set it up in the way that you'd like it to be set up and how you'd like it to be managed, and then drive that through. Be, you know, think of it as your own garden, if you like, and your team is your garden, and make sure it's all nice and tidy, and that everyone else keeps it tidy as well. And be nice if people start going off the rails. Just say politely, you know, actually, can we keep this together? You know, because it can easily get out of hand. So I think, you know, that kind of knowledge sharing is caring after all. And you know, encourage people to do the right thing in the right way, I think, is a good way to change the culture.
So I do apologize, Gary, you lost a point for talking about gardens there. A, because not everyone has gardens, and B, because my garden is full of little bloody plastic balls that the kids threw everywhere, and I just can't find all of them. They keep re-emerging. So
I would like to look at your teams then.
Only, yeah, that is a fair point as well. Louise, how can you change culture to encourage good etiquette?
Yeah, so I think it's super important to stop the glorification of being busy. So, and I mean busy in the sense of not being meaningfully productive. Just like, so when we're in meetings the whole day, and if we try to use this Outlook trick, hey, you can set up the duration so that it's just like 5 to 10 minutes less than an hour or so that we can actually get some work done in between of all the meetings that we attend for political reasons, because we have a certain role or someone likes to see us there, but we can't learn something there and we can't contribute in a meaningful way, then we are holding it wrong. Totally. So we need to protect our time. And so there are great services that can help with that. So My Analytics or Cortana can just like schedule a focus time for you, which means you're on D&D in Teams, which means you actually can get your shit done. And if you think I can't contribute to this meeting, if you think I can't learn from that, then please politely cancel that and tell people, hey, I can't add any value here, so I will not attend that. That's it.
I'd take that one step further. Walk away from the meeting if you get into it and realize that actually you can't provide value. Don't
Agreed.
be afraid to actually just say, actually, look, can't help. I'm walking away.
Agreed. It's the rule of 2 feet. Just like leave politely, respectfully if you can't contribute more.
That will leave my days very empty.
But that would mean you're more productive.
Yes.
I mean, just like imagine what you could do if you really worked like that.
So Louise knows this, but we'll have the chat at the end. So enough. Let's move on. Let's carry on to Carolina. How can you change culture to encourage good etiquette?
I'm still thinking about the gardens, and what if I like jungle? So then all teams are just a mess in a jungle. But anyway, so how you can change cultures is to talk with each other. So I don't think any culture will be changed by stickers or in Teams or posters in your office. You have to gather your team and sit down together in a meeting or live and talk about your culture and talk about your guidelines and rules. And you should agree on when to use all of these different tools, when to use emails, Teams, etc. Where should you store all of your documents, where to handle tasks, how quickly you should answer to messages. And you need to come up with your own team playbook or garden rules or guidelines. And I really think that if you are going to change something in your team or in your organization, it doesn't really work if everybody's doing whatever they will. Because then I'm messaging via email and my coworker is messaging me via Teams, and then someone is still using WhatsApp. Please, no, don't use WhatsApp. So sit down together and really talk this through. Thank you.
I think it's a very good point. I think, yes, it's very good. I would say not just with no stickers and posters, but actually speaking to people and finding out what they think and want as well is absolutely part of it. So, and talking is two-way. Which brings us neatly onto the chat one. A few kind of contentious and different sections. So any thoughts on what was shared in that group?
I think it's interesting to chat and to actually work out, as you said, Carolina, where you put things, what to use when. But I do think that Moraine's putting posters up to explain that to people works well. And, when you've got it, I see a lot flowcharts, things like security and compliance. When you're trying to change, when do people label things, you put flowcharts up, and just that visual sort of explanation, keeping it really simple, infographics, the one, that springs to mind is, do I use OneDrive or do I use SharePoint or do I use Teams? Where do I put my documents? That's a really easy visual one that you can put up that makes it transparent for people to understand.
Yeah, and really make
a reminder,
like 10 pages of Word documents.
Yeah, you don't want War and Peace, do you? You want it quick and easy to understand.
More pictures.
And it's that reminder, because when new systems come in, it takes a little while to build that habit to get used to using that. I think we all, initially when Teams came up, we wanted to use Skype for Business chat, to kind of that quick one, because you had those small windows versus this one big app. But as you built up that habit and saw the benefits of it, so keeping with that reminder and carrying on going to it, that's where the posters come by. As you walk past, you're like, yeah, I must go and use that and try that out again. So I think the combination of both, and I think the talking and listening to why people aren't doing things is a big part of it. So not just saying people aren't doing it, let's bludgeon them with more videos, more stuff, more. Let's understand why it is and try and adapt to that as well.
There's also the different areas of a business will work in different ways. They engage in different ways. The difference between the road warriors who are out actually mobile devices all the time and the accounts department who sit on the same desks day in, day out and actually just speak to each other all the time, they work differently, and Teams is going to provide them with different values for them.
Absolutely.
And we need Clippy again.
Oh, I love that Clippy.
This is the secret weapon, isn't it? I'll just bring out Elmo, I'll bring out Clippy, I'll get more points.
Oh yeah, my jumper.
And that's a point off for Louise and Carolina for trying to get additional bonus points when you've already had some. That was shameless. Right, let's move on to question number 3. We all like the technical stuff. We want to talk about people doing the right thing, but what feature should people know about to help them show better etiquette in Microsoft 365 is there? So not just talking about what you should do, but how can you help people to do that? And first up, we have Moraine to share what you think about the best feature.
Yeah, first talk about making your meetings 10 minutes short, but we already covered that. And thank goodness that Office 365 is just such a huge package of all kinds of stuff and all kinds of programs all wrapped up together. There's got tons of other things we can discuss. So I really wanted to talk about the attach feature in Outlook. So it's been there for quite some time that you can put in as a link when in OneDrive. So just set up your OneDrive documents, go in your OneDrive sync. So you're just working like your regular folders, and then when they're stored there, when you want to send an email to recent files and send it out as a link if you want people to contribute on that. And don't send it out as a document and then expect to get a document back. This is something that we've been talking about for years now, and we've been preaching it for years. Microsoft has made it super easy to do that right in the email, just with freaking button. So please try to do it that way. So much easier, and you just get so little fluff of extra stuff.
I think it's a really good point, and makes it also easy for people to not just put in OneDrive, but to have in SharePoint, so you've got that single place that you know to go to.
Exactly.
Really good point there.
Exactly.
Al, what feature do you think we should know about that maybe people out there won't know about?
Well, so I like the IM groups. So where you're actually using the IM, but you're actually having more than one person in there. You can give them names, but it's a really quick and easy way. You know, if you're collaborating within a team, and it doesn't need to be a formal conversation, it's, you know, an informal conversation. You know, maybe it is that shits and giggles kind of conversation that's going on, but you can actually really engage really productively. But it gives you all the benefits of, you know, being able to actually just have a quick video call, you know, to be able to have that quick call rather than just typing all the time, which I think is really, really useful. And giving it a name, it just makes it easier to find. You know, you type in the name of the multiple people, it will find your previous conversation, and you've got all of that previous history. So, you know, I find it really useful when I'm working, you know, with a particular group of people on a particular aspect of a project, as opposed to, you know, the whole project. You know, just to have that really simple way to communicate with multiple people. So that's my one. IM groups rather than the full channel experience.
So I think let's come to that in the chat as IM groups versus should it be in a channel, but that's something to have a bit of a debate about at the end wrap up. Otherwise, Gary, what feature can we talk about to show better etiquette in Microsoft 365?
Well, I think my absolute go-to for any channel conversation has got to be the format button. If I was going to pick one feature, that is the one thing. Just use it all the time. You create a conversation that just has a chat. You don't put a title on it. It's like being in Al's IM chat groups, right? You just end up with no understanding of where that conversation has gone. It's not grouped together. But actually, you know, if you start to use those formats, you can give things titles. You can share documents on that conversation as well, and it's nicely presented. People don't have to go into the file section to find it, but it all comes back to that formatting, and that is, you know, making sure that you're communicating to the people in your team in the most effective way. You know, it doesn't take a lot to just add a little bit of context, add a bit of formatting, make things pop out and easy to read. You know, you want to skim through when you're busy in your team's chat, and if you've got a message that kind of takes your attention because it's got some nice formatting, I'm not saying use GIFs or anything like that on there, but you know, it looks nice, you're going to stop and you're going to read it. So yeah, that would be my one feature that I think helps just drive a lot of good practices.
Very good point, and it really helps to make sure that you get emails in Teams as well with your subjects. Next up, Louise, what feature would you like to see shared?
Yeah, I would say teach more people to use Power Automate, just because whenever it does not require critical thinking or creativity or empathy, then you should automate that, because then a machine can do this job better. That's it.
Short and
can I just
iterate
a little bit on that? I just was listening to a podcast from Joe Rogan with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk said, if you're sitting in a Tesla and you need to do something, you need to press a button or something, that's a failure, because everything should be automated.
If it does not require creativity, critical thinking, or empathy.
Even that should all be automated with AI.
Well, so if the AI would be better in empathy, I would agree, but perhaps I may be biased on that.
No, and then we get
defend
Skynet and the Terminator. Yeah.
Yeah, defend the indefensible is springing to mind around these ones.
Good one.
Absolutely. So I think the answer to that is what we need is a connector for Teslas in Power Automate. That's what I'm
Now we're
taking away
talking.
from that one.
I think
Next
somebody
up,
already did
Carolina.
that.
You're going to have to find the link for that now and put it into the chat. Carolina, what feature do you think people should know about to see better etiquette in Microsoft 365?
I know this divides opinions, but I think people should really use the search more. Because we come back to the first question today. So I think people are frustrated because they don't find information in Teams or in SharePoint. But I think at the moment they are not really even trying. Because it's so much easier to ask from someone, hey, where is this conversation or where is this piece of document? But every time you ask someone, you interrupt their job. You interrupt what they are doing at the moment. And that's always not the best etiquette. So people should really try to first search from themselves, and they should learn how to use the filters in Teams or contextual search in Teams. I'm still waiting for the Microsoft search in Teams, maybe in the summertime, please, hopefully. But I really think search in Teams is something people would. It will help people to have a better culture and better etiquette in Microsoft 365. Thanks.
I think it's absolutely true. I think that double-edged swords to me on that one. One is, yes, you search, but two, do a little bit of work yourself. Make sure that the answer's not there already, whether it is search filters or anything, before you go and interrupt other people's days. Absolutely agree on that one. But what do others think? I think there were a few contentious subjects we talked a little bit about there. I think, whether you want your attachments in OneDrive or SharePoint. I think, Al, you were talking about naming your chats. Now, and I kind of agree with that. I partially disagree, because you want to try and encourage people to have the things in the channels so that you've got that context aware, and that actually becomes the place you go to for that.
Yeah, you've got to be clear on which tool you're using for what purpose. An informal chat, think about WhatsApp. If you're going to replace WhatsApp, you use an informal chat. You use IM and IM group. It keeps it within the organization as opposed to taking it outside of the organization. It's not to substitute, where the context is your project, where it needs to be formally recorded. It's really trying to bring more of that informal communication into the organization as opposed to having it outside.
But if you think about your WhatsApp groups, you have names for those groups. That's, I suppose that's what you're saying with naming the instant chat. But if you have a channel, certainly I think what you want to encourage people to do is, if you are talking about a project, to not have that in separate chats, where if someone else joins afterwards, they haven't got that history. Whereas if you've got it in a channel, they've got that history and things there. So
so it's not only about the lack of history, because actually you can include that, but it's the non-threaded conversation. So it's just like the WhatsApp group from hell, where no one knows how to quote something, or the feature is not there on all clients. It's just like you're totally lost, because no one knows to what you are referring when you write okay or I do not agree. And this is just like communication failure.
Yeah, so I think I definitely agree with you, Al. There is a place for it. I think it's just making sure that people don't overuse that, which is exactly what we're saying, is make sure that people share and communicate effectively. And I know that people tend to use that more than the channels, but
I think that's a really good topic for one of our user adoption sessions: when to use group chat and when to use a team or when to use a channel.
Shall I say it depends?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Yes.
It depends.
Yeah, we could come up with a bunch of use cases.
Nah.
Right. I think we have got to the end of the chat there, and we've got about 5 minutes left. So we're on to the last stretch, which means we have some finalists to come through. Now, I'm always nice with these. I don't like to go in and share the scores. So we're just going to talk about who the 2 finalists are. And our 2 finalists today are Al and Louise. So you are on to some rounds of Defend the Indefensible. So for those who haven't seen this, I'm going to give a statement. I'm going to assign one to each person, and I'm going to get Louise to go first. And I'm going to pick one of these. Let me flick through. You'll see some of the other ones that they may get to. I think, Louise, if you can do, always start your conversations in teams with just a hello. You have 30 seconds to defend that.
I mean, first, a hello is just friendly, and it's just a very, very good thing to get the attention of someone and then let them wait, right? So, I mean, this is very, very good to just like make clear this is where you are and this is where the other one is, because there is no eye level now anymore because you let the other one wait. And so you write hello and then expect the other one to just like get back to you. And if he or she does not, you can still do a, did you get my message?
That was quite impressively defended, because I don't know if I could defend that at all, but a really good one there. If you like that, do put in the chat and say which one you preferred, because Al, we're gonna go with, I think, an unused site is just as good as an active site and just as important. You have 30 seconds to defend that. Over to you.
Well, you've got to keep the unused sites, don't you? I mean, they've got content in them. They've got, if it's an unused team, it's got chat in it. You have to keep it. You don't need to have everything active. It's fine to just create it for, one document. I just leave that site there. You know where it is because it's going to have a name of the site. And so you can always find that document, can't you? It'll be fine. You don't need to actually use sites. I mean, that would just make it hard work, wouldn't it? If you had to use every site you create.
Now I'm a little bit nervous because you almost had a good point within that one about keeping the chats, which kind of defeats the object of Defend the Indefensible, and on there that you do need to retain that. And maybe your security and compliance hat kicked in a little bit there. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything in the chat as to who they thought, or maybe Carolina, Gary, and Moraine, if you had any thoughts on who had some better points there and who defended the truly awfully indefensible best.
I'll have
thoughts on that
to Louise.
Just down is easier to point.
Yeah, I was just looking at the screen. Don't jump and down too much, Carolina. You'll start to shake the plaster down onto Al's head there. So I think we will give the winner to, let me skip through as the slides. Nothing coming through on the chat. Oh, look, there's lots of these. So I think, I knew it was going to go too far. I think we're going to give the winner to Louise, who I think actually managed to defend quite impressively the hello, and also point out nicely quite how annoying that can be to say hello and wait at the same time. So congratulations, our winner today is Louise. I'm going to say a big thank you to all our panelists. I'm going to hover on this slide for a bit. If you did enjoy this, whether you're watching live or re-watching later, because I know there's so many sessions on today, please do join up. We'll be tweeting about the happy hour etiquette sessions coming up. I think the next topic we're going to pick is a few topics around the employee experience with Viva coming out, and I'm sure there'll be some news coming out of Ignite next week. We're going to be talking about the importance of the employee experience and how you can build your etiquette to better support that. Otherwise, thank you very much to everyone. A big thank you also to volunteers like Al, who I know has been doing a lot of work to help this Scottish Summit go ahead. All the other volunteers, everyone involved in making this day happen. I hope next year we can all do this face to face, and you can come and have a beer with us. We can have a proper happy hour afterwards and chat about all the different etiquettes. Otherwise, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Back to you, Al.